What's up, Dream Media family? This is Zach. Welcome back to another episode. I'd like to introduce Adam from URC, Adam Cook. He's the territory manager, and I am going to be getting a huge upgrade here at the house. I've been living in this home for a couple years now, and the gear's just been piling up in the garage, and I have been using Sonos, and it's been a huge bummer because I get to see all of y'all's killer setups, but then I come home and I'm like exhausted. So the guys came in today from URC to help me out. My wife is gonna be absolutely thrilled. We are gonna be putting in a whole home automation system, really bringing my home up to 2024 standards. And we're gonna be overviewing and checking out, really deep diving more so than an overview into every single product that URC has to offer and actually installing it in my home and giving you some tips and tricks and applications and different ways that you can use the product so that you can make an educated buying decision. Let's just dive right into it, guys. Let's start out with some of the most popular components and what is kind of the starting place for the average consumer when they're looking at a control system, which would be the controller. We got quite a few products here, starting with the MRX5 all the way down to the MRX30. Give my audience the lowdown on what this product does. You can dive into some of the technical aspects of the product, but application is really what I'm looking for.
Okay, we are a control and automation company that creates an entire ecosystem that brings every product in your home, not just your TVs and speakers, but your shades, your lighting, your thermostats, everything into one control ecosystem. So there's only one interface, there's only one experience that the end user needs to learn, and everything ties together. So when we look at our processors that Zach just introduced, we have our MRX5 all the way to our flagship MRX30, and each one serves a purpose. I would never say that one is technically better than the other. One is gonna fit the right niche for its application. The MRX5 is a really cool product because this gives the very basic one room TV soundbar integration. Everything can be tied in at a very low budget cost. The MRX5 is our entry level processor. And again, I use entry level just because of the power capabilities of each. But the MRX5 is a very powerful and very capable unit. Not only does it just offer what most people think when they think control and remote systems, which is the IR control, these systems are all network based. And what that does is it gives us the ability to tie in all the newer technology that's going on through our homes, from smart doorbells to camera systems, Ring cameras, your shades, even tying in your Sonos products. So even though we're putting in new, much more capable equipment, we can actually tie in Sonos into this so you're not just making a whole bunch of speakers around your home obsolete. So really, really cool capabilities. As systems require more, let's call it brain power, we have processors that offer a considerable upgrade as you go from unit to unit. The easiest way to explain it is you go from the MRX5, you double in power to the 12, you double in power and connectivity again going into the MRX15, and then as you reach our MRX30 at the bottom, this is kind of the, full tilt boogie processor that you can pretty much throw at anything you want. It could be the largest home you could ever imagine. It can be a hotel, an entire MDU, multi-dwelling unit complex. Its capability, its memory, its power can handle significant size projects.
Universal Remote Control, URC, they are the OGs in the industry. They created the first universal remote control. And now it's been an evolution of you guys really just making it better and better year after year. I was telling Adam, I hold this brand near and dear to my heart because I started out in this business before Dream Media became a national retailer as a custom integrator, and this was the first brand that I was trained on. And back then, I mean, you couldn't do nearly the stuff that you can do now. I mean, it was just all IR, it was just cool to get an RF remote back then.
Our complete control remotes definitely have a pedigree. We kind of joke that they're the Nokias of remotes because unless you have a St. Bernard that eats it, these remotes last forever. We have end users that have remotes that are 20 years old that are still working. We have complete control remotes that are still on Air Force One that they use on that plane to control all the technology on the plane. And that remote is the MX3000. I think that's a 15, 16-year-old product.
Wow.
And they still have those actively running on that plane. So really cool. So
reliability is huge, guys.
Exactly.
That's probably the #1 aspect when considering a control system is it gonna work all the time consistently? And that's why I chose URC here in my own home. These things now have built-in two-way communication, which I think is a really important aspect to touch on, guys. So can you explain that a little bit?
Exactly. I think what everyone has always experienced is the control. Control is where you pick up a remote, you press a button, you point at a product, and it does what you want. Automation is the special word in what we do. We have control and automation. Our products don't just talk to everything else in your home, but we have the ability to equally listen and understand what other products are doing in the home, and they can communicate their status to our processor. And we can run an entire lifestyle system in your home based on the fact that you might have a kid that might actually just go to his Sonos app and make changes there. URC is gonna see and adapt to those changes. Or your wife might pick up her universal remote over here and do those same controls, but the system is gonna always be in sync and understand the status of every product in the home.
And I love that they all, even these devices in the ecosystem, update each other.
They do.
So like I did a tour of the guys here in Colorado Springs. We'll try to drop the link up here of a whole home system down there. And they picked up the remote, hit the button that was on the nightstand in the primary bedroom, and it updated the touch panel on the bathroom in wall.
Yep. So everything is right where it needs to be. The fewer clicks we can give end users, the better their experience is. So for them to go from a living room to their bedroom, where let's say they turned on their living room system from the bedroom and then they go to the other room, they don't have to pick up the remote and repeat all those steps. They pick up the remote and it's already where it's supposed to be. So the continuity between control and the ecosystem, if your son is controlling our system with our iPad app or on an Android app and makes changes, you can go to any other interface in the home and it's going to be at that exact same spot without you needing to go through a whole menu system. We have end users that are in their high 90s that use these systems because of how simple and how intuitive it is to pick up a remote and just really make your home do what you want it to do.
And I'll have to say, that was one of the most frustrating things, Adam, like back in the day when we were relying on IR, is like a lot of these commands were the same command for on and off.
Toggle power.
So
Yes,
like imagine this, guys. You press the button and the remote turns on the cable box, it turns on the AVR, and it turns on the TV maybe, but it misses the input.
It does.
Oh.
One really cool product
So
that we have
frustrating.
are we have sensors. We have light sensors, audio sensors, voltage sensors, contact closure sensors. Pretty much anything in the home that's doing anything, we have an ability to wire to it and integrate it into our system. Where I'm going with this is you might have a AT&T cable box. That box does not have, like what you mentioned, a discrete power on command and a discrete power off command. So on older IR-based remotes, you would have to run the macro, the whole system would run, but if the TV, let's say, was already on, it would turn the TV off.
Or the cable box was already on. Yep.
So what's cool about this is we can use like a light sensor, for example, on that AT&T box. So no matter what's going on with the remote or the control system, we know 100% of the time the status of that component. Is it on? Or is it off? When we run our macros, it takes that variable and applies it. Let's say the cable box is already on. When we run the macro, it knows it's on, so it won't send an off command. So the whole system's up and running and you have your cable on the TV. That's just a small, tiny example.
Well, with automation and stuff, I mean, really the devil's in the details, which is why in this series here at my home, I have the opportunity to really deep dive into a lot of these little tiny minute things. I mean, we're gonna be unboxing and talking about all of these products in addition to the guys right now are down there ripping apart the rack, and we're gonna physically put it in. I mean, we're cutting holes and we got a lot of cool, fun, exciting
power drills going on. Exactly.
It's gonna be a blast, guys. So make sure you stay tuned for upcoming episodes. But let's now talk about the whole home audio solutions and multi-zone amps and the different different types of amplifiers that are used based off of the situation. We have, you know, multi-zone, whole home, mono, stereo, 8 ohm, 70 volt. Let's talk a little bit about that. So first and foremost, what type of amplification is being used here, Adam?
So all our amplifiers are ICE Power Class D amplification.
Very nice.
Our low Z, or what traditional speakers, when people think 8 ohm, 4 ohm speakers, our amplifiers are 100 watts a channel at 8 ohms, 200 watts a channel at 4 ohms. And we have our special low Z amplifier that is 600 watts at 8 ohms, 1200 watts at 4 ohms, and when running a 70 volt system, it's 600 watts per channel. So really very powerful amplifiers.
Plenty of juice.
But also really clean, really quiet noise floor. All of our amplifiers, if installed into a rack, which most of them are, ventilate out the sides. So I have an 8100 in my home and I run it all the time, and when I put my hand on top, it's barely room temperature.
Really?
It stays very cool. It's not going to cook your rack.
So maybe we won't need all those fans in the rack then.
Maybe.
But we're going to put them in
returns.
anyways, just to make sure it runs cool. But that, from a space-saving perspective, I have a 42U monster rack down there, but a lot of you guys will just have like a, I think our best seller is like a 37U, you know, or we even sell a lot of those tiny little 18Us, and we can put them like up at the top of a closet or something, you know, when we're retrofitting.
Exactly. And in case you didn't know, 1U in a rack is a 1.75 inch measurement. So when you have racks and you see their size that's measured in U's.
Thanks for hitting on that.
Sometimes people don't know what it is.
Nobody knows. I just forgot to say
everyone
anything.
in your video is going to be Googling, what's a U in a rack?
What is a U? Yeah,
exactly.
one unit. And
but those U's are valuable, and when you invest in a good quality rack, older amplifiers, you would usually lose 1 to 2 U.
At least.
Just for ventilation, and it's wasted empty space. These can be form factor right on top of each other.
Incredible.
And none of the heat is transducing from one to the other. They all go out the sides. They stay very cool. They're very efficient. And we're just scratching the surface of what makes these amplifiers so special.
Why would they need the 8100 versus the 4100? Let's just talk about those two units to start.
The easiest way to explain the two is their chassis are almost identical. Same amplifier, same capability, same power, but the 8100, the model number is actually easy to identify what it's doing. It is an 8-zone stereo zone at 100 watts per channel at 8 ohms. So 8100, 8 zones, 100 watts. However, every one of our amplifiers, a zone is a left and a right channel. We can split those, double up your zones by making any of them a mono zone. So not only do you have 8 stereo zones, but you could do your entire home of 16 mono zones, or any combination in between.
Or get this, yeah, like probably one of the most common applications would be primary suites. You know, many times we want to put audio in the closet, in the bathroom, in the shower, which you guys will have to check out that Colorado Springs project, because that's a prime example of a typical setup where we, you know, you kind of have the rooms divided out, so you can't really get stereo imaging anyways.
Exactly.
And maybe you don't want to spend the money on 2 speakers in a room that's only 5 feet wide, right?
Yeah.
So you can drop a mono speaker in there easily just for the background music, so it flows throughout the home. And you guys have to check out our whole home audio playlist. We've toured thousands of homes, completed Dream Media projects around the country to give you inspiration as to things like, what is a dual voice coil speaker?
What does this mean?
Yeah,
exactly.
So all of this terminology, that's the point of these videos, is to help educate you guys, because it can be overwhelming if you're just getting into the industry. We've covered the 8100 and the 4100. Now let's talk about this low Z 70 volt. This is gonna be a really unique product that I have a very special application for.
This is a very game-changing product that URC created. And what's so special about it is not only is it a 70 volt amplifier that's extremely powerful. Again, it starts at 600 watts, but it can be also a low Z amplifier, so it can do traditional 8 ohm, 4 ohm speakers, but it can also do 70 volt systems. So for commercial applications, landscape speaker systems, 70 volt is a very efficient way to run a single line of wire and connect multiple speakers without a significant pre-wire or low volt integration cost up front. But what's really cool about this amplifier is its ability to do both at the same time.
That's insanely cool.
So again, it's a single zone, which means it has a left and a right channel. And what this can do is we can allocate the left channel to low Z 8 ohm, 4 ohm load, and the right channel simultaneously can be a 70 volt load.
Incredible.
Out of one amplifier.
So let me give you guys an application here and why I am like, yes, exactly what I need. And I think it's gonna be a very compelling product for a lot of you guys around the country, because how many of you have pre-wired stereo zones throughout your home? I do. So the patio out there is gonna be a huge project. I have out there right now pre-wired from the builder just a pair of stereo speakers, 8 ohm, 2 wires, 16.2. That is like the builder standard for every home in America, is to throw a pair of patio speakers out there mounted to the side or in the ceiling, whatever. I can hook up with this amplifier those speakers. I don't have throughout the rest of the backyard any other wiring, but I have satellite speakers, in-ground subwoofers, and stone speakers that are gonna go around the whole perimeter, because I'm pretty close to my neighbors and I don't need that much bandwidth. But what it allows me to do is I'm gonna direct all the audio inward to my patio so that I can have it at a lower level and not bother the neighbors, resulting in better quality audio. But like you had said, the wiring schematics for 70 volt is different. It's a lot more efficient for, like, say, restaurant owners, or we do it all the time for pool and patio setups, to run one direct burial wire and you just daisy chain. So all of those speakers, I'm gonna run one line out of the garage and just put them all right into the ground, direct burial, and this is a game-changing product.
I'm also glad that you mentioned subwoofers. A lot of times when people think distributed audio, they're so hyper-focused on the speakers. But part of the frequency that we hear is low frequency subwoofers.
I love
these
bass.
Amplifiers have the ability to integrate powered, which uses our pre-outs, the RCAs, to powered subwoofers.
Can you line those subwoofers up with the zones?
You can.
And
these amplifiers can also do passive subwoofers. So if you have in ceiling, in wall, your rock speakers out, the direct burials, we can wire those directly to this. And in the amplifier's customization, we can set the entire low frequency bandwidth, crossovers, and make it a dedicated, perfectly designed subwoofer channel that gives the information correctly to that product with the correct power load.
And to top it off, I'm excited to play with that DSP. They have a built-in DSP, so we can go around and tune each room.
Exactly.
Another popular SKU is going to be this single zone amplifier. Talk about that bad boy.
This is the HDA 130. It's a really cool piece because when we build a home, most of the time we have a plan and we wired all the rooms on that initial plan.
And we always think of every single thing perfectly, right?
Every time. But sometimes our homes grow. We might add a new sun deck. We might add a new hot tub area. There are areas where wire didn't get put in, and let's say our 8100 in the rack is completely full and we don't have any more channels. What's cool about this product is not only can we add additional zones to the system, but we can put this anywhere in the house we want. You're not isolated to keeping all this product in the AV rack. This can be upstairs in your master bathroom closet, wired to a new shower. It could be downstairs in a cabinet, wired to a set of hot tub speakers. Whatever you're doing, this can be added.
Does it need to be hardwired?
It does.
Okay.
So a key component, structural design of our amplifiers, and actually what makes this so special is this is all done over what's called an AVB network. That's an audio video bridge. What that is we use our pre-loaded SW5 switch. So what's cool for your integrators is this is a switch that you don't have to pay them labor to customize. Out of the box, it will already create and design an AVB network that keeps every single HDA product on a perfect time clock with perfect synchronization, and up to 32 rooms and zones will always play in perfect sync. Why that's important? Have you ever walked around a property with music playing everywhere, but each room's just a little bit off? It's called a popcorn effect.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it's why I don't have hair. It's awful. Having an echo of audio in your home it's a terrible experience when people spend a large investment cost to have such a low quality experience, because when you want that whole home audio, and you have even the slightest 1 millisecond, your audio not synced up properly, it can drastically affect the end user experience.
When we set up this network with this switch, are we assigning a static IP specific for the URC system, or is it all pulled in DHCP?
This is all designed and done automatically. Depending on how the network is built, depending on the router and the network structure, there are a lot of cool things you can do to even further enhance the dependability of these systems by locking up IP addresses, making reservations. And I usually tell people, as long as a little kid doesn't get into your rack and start unplugging stuff, when set up correctly, these are systems that don't just work the day your installation's complete, but they continue to work 6 months later, a year later. And like I mentioned earlier, those old CCP remotes, they've been in the field for 20 years and they're still working.
Yeah, that's like my worst nightmare is I'm out recording content for you guys out of state. My wife's calling me like, that's it won't work. Because you know I'm tech support around here.
Exactly. every home has the one individual that can have 20, 30 remotes on a coffee table, and we'll figure it out.
It's perfect. I actually prefer it.
Yeah.
I like having all of the remotes.
This is for everyone else. So if you're at work and your family and 4 kids are at home and you're trying to get work done, they're constantly calling you because this isn't working. I can't play audio. It takes all of that out of the equation. It just gives you a system that, without anyone even knowing the system, Airbnbs, Verbos are becoming very popular. Rental properties. You can put these systems in those homes, and people that rent your home for a weekend can pick up a remote, and just by how it's laid out on the interface can 100% control the home and have the best experience possible without needing to call anyone. How do I do this? How do I control that? It's intuitive, it's easy, and most importantly, it works every time you use it.
That's the key, guys. You always hear me picking up the remotes and using the phrase one button press. I mean, that is all it takes. You hit one button and it does all the work for you.
We can even do one better than that. We can even remove the one button press. We can do some really cool stuff. We can apply motion sensors in a hallway. So let's say it's 3 a.m., you want to go get a drink of water. That motion sensor can sense that you're in the hallway, and it can turn on specific lights and do certain things around the home.
We're gonna have some fun
here. So you're not wandering around in the dark.
I like that.
You can have tons of fun with this stuff. Like I said earlier, this system listens to you just as much as you talk. So just by you wandering around the home, doing your normal lifestyle, URC can follow you. It can track what you're doing, when you're doing it. My wife, for example, gets home usually from work Monday through Friday about 5 to 5:30. So what I've programmed is a variable that if the garage door opens, we use a Genie Aladdin controller, which is part of a two-way IP integration. When the garage door opens, Monday through Friday, between that time period, I have music turn on in the house for her. Her favorite channels are already loaded up in the bedroom, so when she goes upstairs to change, she has Bravo playing in the background. She's happy as a clam. Turns on specific lights, and all these things are done just by her coming home and pressing the garage door button on her car.
Wow, your wife must love you.
I'd like to think so.
My wife's been giving me a hard time for a few years now.
Yeah. I still have a lot of promises in my home that are still in boxes. So
you're on your way, though.
I'm trying to get there. I'm
trying to play catch up over here.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about another piece that I know has to be a top seller, the Stream Adapter.
It's called the HDA I/O, and the I/O stands for in or out. This is a device that can do, honestly, creativity is the only limit of what we can do with this product. So let's say you have a pre-existing hi-fi 2-channel system or an amplifier or a preamp or something you're real proud of that you don't want to remove from your home, but let's say you want to make that system an additional zone to your HDA. We can put an output device on this into the preamplifier, so anything that's part of the HDA matrix in the home, every source that's connected, being Sonos ports, autonomic streamers, Blue Sound, a Denon Hios, whatever it might be, it makes it accessible throughout the entire property. So if you have, let's say, DirecTV wired into your HDA as an audio source, and you're in your office working, but let's say you want to hear the game that's being played out of DirecTV out of your speakers.
Yes.
This can be used to inject that audio into that third-party design system. And it can go into anything. Sky's the limit.
I have digital audio out of the Samsung Terrace outdoor TV, which is great, into a digital to analog converter so that I can take that audio. We like to watch sports when we entertain, just have another thing going on in the house, but I'd like to have the game going throughout the entire home. And I can select that source and then add it to the kitchen, add it to the side yard, add it to the bathroom.
Exactly.
So you don't miss a beat. Actually, 2-channel hi-fi is making a comeback. Believe it or not, Adam, we are selling more turntables than ever right now.
Yep.
But that's gonna be something that's coming to this channel soon, is I'm gonna overhaul this whole room and introduce a killer turntable from Michelle Audio. They're making these crazy cool gyro decks that are like completely isolated and floating. It's supposed to be like an audiophile's dream for playing vinyl. More for me, it's just gonna be like a really cool statement piece to be like, check this out. And I'm gonna need to get that audio back to the URC system because I wanna put it on display.
Exactly.
I don't want it in my rack. So I can take the audio from my turntable into this and then select it.
Blow some minds here real quick. Technology we haven't even talked about or even scratched the surface on with our HDAs is the paging and ducking capabilities. So let's say you already have DirecTV playing throughout the entire home. Your buddy comes over, he has a brand new vinyl he wants to play.
Okay.
Let's say you don't need to go grab a remote or go to an interface on the wall and change inputs and affect already what's going on in the home. Every piece of HDA that we have, every product has what's called audio sensing. If you have your turntable hooked up to an I/O in that room, and right now that room is playing DirecTV because of another source that's playing into that area, the I/O, as soon as the cartridge hits the vinyl and that turntable outputs a signal, this can override and duck that audio over what's already playing.
Nice.
So as long as that turntable's playing, that's what you're gonna hear. And as soon as you or your buddy go over to it, take the vinyl off. You can have a timer if you want, because sometimes it takes a little bit to change if you're putting on a new record. But let's say after 15 seconds of no signal, that room will automatically go back to the DirecTV that was already playing before. And you had to do nothing.
I love that.
But just put a vinyl on, drop the needle, and enjoy the end user experience without needing to understand a whole bunch of tech and buttons to press and what do I need to do. It's just done automatically. We have integrations with, we have Ring, we have HoloVision. Even if it's a product we have no integration with, we can use a sensor. And depending on what that gate does, we can send a audible chime or a page throughout the entire home.
Pops up on one of the iPads or one of these controllers in wall, central in the home, a visual of whoever's at the gate.
Exactly.
And then we'll be able to, with your triggers, hit a button and open the gate.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm just trying to give you guys applications.
Lots of ways to do it.
There's just so many cool things.
Yeah. How do you unpack Pandora's box?
We're gonna do it.
I've shared
one video at a time.
I've shared with a lot of people the only real limit of URC that I've seen is the limit of people's creativity.
I'm really excited about the Apple Vision.
Early testing phase, but it's
so I'm gonna get an Apple Vision and we're gonna like do everything that URC can possibly do in 2024. I'm gonna make a video on it for you guys.
Awesome.
So we've covered pretty much all of the amplifiers, controllers. Let's get into the speakers.
Okay.
I had no idea that you guys manufacture speakers, and I'm sure there's a reason that you guys have manufactured these speakers, and I'm sure they work really well with these amplifiers, right?
Exactly.
So talk about the tech that's built in, the different types of speakers. I see we got a couple different sizes for in ceilings, as well as an outdoor rated speaker as well that can just be mounted to the side of the exterior of the wall or maybe under an eave.
So the easiest way to explain the speakers is really it's a nice peace of mind. So obviously there are hundreds of speaker brands out there. All have different capabilities, all have different resistance levels, ohm ratings.
And you can work with all of them.
And you can, and we can work with, I would say, probably 99.9% of those speakers. What's nice about the URC products is they're built to our spec. We do control our own manufacturing. So when we design and manufacture our own speakers, they're designed to be the best integration out of the box for our HDA products. We have an 8-inch in-ceiling speaker pair. We have a 6-inch ceiling speaker pair. We also have a dual voice coil stereo in-ceiling speaker. And then we have our outdoor rated speakers as well. Being in Colorado, we use these quite often. Water rated, snow can sit on them. These are available in white and black. Woven fiber cone woofers on all the speakers, aluminum dome tweeters, all rated at 8 ohms. And like I said, right out of the box, you know that you're getting a speaker that is designed specifically for it. So if people want to just streamline the process, again, peace of mind is their biggest focus. It's a really great pairing.
I'm definitely gonna throw at least one of these on the ceiling for you guys and then play with their DSP.
Yeah.
That's gonna be really fun. So stay tuned for future videos. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button for me. So now, tell me about the universal remote controls.
The interface products. So we have several ways to physically control. That's that control word. That's a device that you pick up, engage with to control your home. We have handheld wand remotes. I'm a huge wand fan myself. We also have handheld 7 and 9-inch touchscreens. We even have our new TDC 5100. This is really cool product because it gives you the visual experience of the touchscreen only products, but it gives you the hand feel of the buttons that matter.
It's like a gaming controller.
It does. There is something for everyone when it comes to controlling the systems. Some of the key features to focus on right out of the gate are the voice capabilities of our interfaces. Every single one of our products has a full Alexa integration that is a true software. It's called an API. So we're actually working with Alexa's core programming to have a dependable integration. Nothing we're doing is what I would call a hack, where we just designed a solution to just work with stuff. These are all engineered. Both parties have been in development with each other, and they're all certified integrations. So our interfaces, we mentioned Alexa, but what's really cool is we're one of the only companies right now that offers a true Xfinity voice and Apple TV integration.
That's huge.
So it's a Siri, it is a true API with Apple. It was years in development.
And it works well.
And it works really well.
So we're gonna put that to the test and see how well it actually works, guys, because I'll have to be honest with you, I am not a fan of voice control. If I have to repeat myself twice, I'm pissed. So by that point, I'm just like, I'll just pull my phone out and do it, manually. So we're really excited to see how dependable that really is, because it could be a game changer if it works well.
To simplify what I said even more, when I talk about API and software integrations, what that means is when you have our remote in your hand and you have the Xfinity remote in your other hand, our microphone button is physically and software identical to the microphone button on your Xfinity remote. So it is 100% the exact same experience. And the same thing applies with Apple TV. When you press our microphone, you are pressing a raw Apple HomeKit Siri. It's not a URC microphone that's doing Apple things.
Which is why most of them don't work all that well.
Exactly.
Okay.
Really cool. Speaking of a physical microphone, it's something I like to bring up because voice isn't for everyone. There are a lot of people that don't like the Big Brother feel of their home just always listening. What's really cool about our remotes is, yes, they have Alexa built in that can be turned on. If they really don't want it in their house at all, we don't have to install it whatsoever. But if they do have it, the buttons are physical. So unless you go to a remote or a touchpad or another thing and activate that microphone, it's not going to be listening. And a lot of people really like that, but have control of when you really want it to be listening.
So if I do want you guys to listen all the time, which I want all the features, I want to really share the maximum output of this system. So I'm going to just scroll to the bottom and agree to all.
Exactly. So
sign my life away.
Obviously, any device that's already in your home that's listening is already a part of this system. That can be an Echo Dot, that can be a Show 15 on your countertop, or we can use what is our in-wall touch panel. It's called the TKP 8600, and this one has a physical mic built into the frame of the touch panel that is a always on listening. Just think of it as an Echo Dot with a really nice touch screen with all the URC capabilities right there on the wall. And these can be put in every room of the house. One of our latest updates with Alexa is now we have room location for our products. So no longer do you have to walk into a room and say, Alexa, turn on my living room TV. We don't have to do that anymore because Alexa
off. Sorry.
Knew that was gonna happen.
Alexa, off.
So now, all you have to say is the activation word and then what you want it to do. You don't have to tell it anymore what room you're in because it already knows, because we can assign the products.
Because there's nothing more frustrating than walking in and not saying the word perfect. Like, I remember early when this technology was coming out, like, you would literally have to say, lower the formal right shade. Like who's gonna remember exactly what you labeled every single thing?
The verbiage wasn't intuitive, and the reason people don't use voice, from my experience, isn't because they don't like it, it's they forget what to say.
Yeah.
It's not natural.
And if you have to say it multiple times, it ends up to where you're just like, I just want to hit a button.
Exactly.
And do the task.
Exactly. So that's come a long way, and it's very, very cool. I've been playing around with it at my house, and for the first time in probably, I don't know, years, I'm actually using the Alexa experience, because even I have a hard time remembering these specific phrasing. And now that it's become more intuitive and we can naturally speak to these systems just the way we normally talk, things are getting a lot better. So very cool.
If they do enable the product to hear everything that they're doing, are you guys sharing their information with third parties?
We are not sharing anything, but the relationship is what they've set up with the terms and agreements with Amazon and Alexa.
So that is on the agreement that you sign with that.
Exactly. Just like putting a new Echo Dot on your countertop, it's no different than putting an 8600 in the kitchen. They're doing the same thing, and they're both under that license agreement with Alexa. We don't want to just put URC anywhere we can. We want to put in the best systems, the best programming. There's a lot of products in the market that do similar things to what URC does, but what makes URC so special is the support and the training and the investment that dealers put in to be a great programmer. We have industry-leading training for our dealers and our programmers that go through a multiple phase process to make sure that they don't just know what our product does, but how to do very clean and very advanced programming to really, like what I said earlier, the only limit is your creativity. And we train these dealers how to do that properly.
And that's on a national scale, guys. So anywhere in the US, you guys are training up dealers. I'm sure we got dealers watching this. I mean, you guys have great support in place. I mean, as a matter of fact, I had a testimonial that I recorded from a customer that had our local guys here in Colorado Springs put in a system for him. And he was just he was gushing. He was just going on and on about how he had these very just crazy requests. I don't know if you saw that project, but he had a patio with 4 TVs and just speakers everywhere. He wanted to do some very intricate, he had some ideas, and the guys were like, no problem.
Yeah,
no problem. Yeah, program that right in. He's like, what? And it's crazy because the guy was he thought it was going to cost him money, and the guys were like, oh no, that's just a programming change.
Make an adjustment.
You gotta hire the right guy for the job, and you guys really stand behind your dealers.
We do, definitely. One thing I also like to point out that makes URC special is when you integrate one of these systems into your home, everything from that moment for you is free. There are no monthly charges, no subscription fees.
To know.
Our apps, all Apple, Android applications, they own it. Off-site control.
Can you add as many iPads as you want?
You can.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Not only add
iPads.
Companies
have a licensing fee per device.
We also have profiles. Kids love to mess up stuff. They love getting into settings. So moms, dads, you can have your admin profile, and you can have a free profile for your kids that they have to guarantee that your system doesn't just always work, but they don't get into things that they're not supposed to. And it's all free. Off-site programming for your dealers to work on homes remotely and support the systems. So you're here in Silverthorne.
Yeah.
John, that's down in the rack, lives in Colorado Springs. If your system has an issue, not only can he fix the issue remotely, but he can be alerted of the issue before you even know about it. And he can fix it and update it remotely, and that's all free, not just for the dealers, but all the capabilities that you have as an end user. It's all free. There are no costs, and that's a really cool thing to share, because I see every day people.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, people are beat to death with You want to do this, it's this fee. You want to have this capability,
And
it's
then
this
before
fee.
you know it, you got 35 subscriptions like Netflix.
Exactly. And to be in a position where we can tell people, one of the coolest things we do is what we don't do. And we don't bill you for things that everyone else is.
So
that's
you're
a
telling
really
me,
cool
you were
experience.
telling me you guys are on Air Force One. You're telling me they've been using that free for 15 years?
Yeah, it's been on there for a while.
That's
so very
amazing.
Cool. Yeah, yep.
Awesome. Well, guys, we're deep diving here, and I think we're just hitting the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
We'll get into the detailed unboxing and reviews of every single product, as well as we're going to show you guys how to actually put them in. So like if a product requires wiring, like this in-wall panel, we need a cat cable. The guys are working on running a cat cable up right now, putting a retro ring in. We're going to try to document all that for you, and then of course, you know, go through some applications of it physically here in my home and how I'm using it. I just wanted to give a quick introduction to the brand. I cannot be more excited, guys. Thank you for coming out and sharing with our audience more about the URC brand. If you guys would like to do something like this in your own home, reach out today for a free video consultation. Dream Media is a national retailer, and we have all the industry-leading brands available for purchase through our e-commerce store, but we have a program called Dream Media Plus. You know, I was talking earlier about that 18,000 square foot home. We get these big properties. We want to get hands-on, and we want to make sure that we're putting in the perfect products for every single room in the home, as well as getting the appropriate programming done and just making sure that it's all implemented from start to finish with absolutely no hiccups. Part of our Dream Media Plus program is also for high-end home cinema builds, which is really our specialty, and we can go as far as providing 3D renderings and 3D animation fly-throughs. Exactly what the customer pays for is what the customer will receive. When it comes to high-end builds, go check out in the links down below our Dream Media Plus program and see if it's right for you. It's for whole home builds. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it informative in helping you make a buying decision. If you like this video, give us a big thumbs up and make sure to smash that subscribe button down below for more. Till next time, this is Zach with Dream Media out here with Adam from URC. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.